Shut up and sit down.
I am a radical libertarian.
And we don't want the government to do a damn thing.
The current state of politics is unsustainable, politically, economically.
You deserve better.
It is about supporting, platforming, and assisting the people who are out here actually doing the fight.
You just take an issue that's important to you and do something.
There you go.
You are part of that declaration against tyranny.
Because no one brings tear gas to a gunfight.
This conversation gives me a little more hope for the future.
The one, the only.
Fight for liberty. This is the cherry on top.
This is FSM.
Hello, fighters. Welcome to another episode. I am not in the space I'm supposed to be. There we go. Welcome to another episode of Fight for Liberty right here on Free Speech Media. I'm your host, David Fite, here to get you pumped up about the men and women out there making the world a freer place through politics, activism, business, and more. And tonight we are talking one of my favorite methods of making the world a better place, which is comedy. You guys know that I like having comedians on here because I genuinely think that is the first stage of the fight for whether it's free speech or just making sure that we're not losing the heart and soul of what it is to be a human. It's comedy. So we've got the always funny Tyler Morrison from the even funnier world of Canada. But before we bring him out, let's hear from our sponsors for this episode, starting off with Blood of Tyrants Wine, the official spirit of 1776. Now they have an energy tea called Liquid Freedom that will have you refreshed and energized to go out there and fight for liberty all day long. It's actually really refreshing. Makes a good mixer if you're into that. Or if you just want the alcohol already in the bottle, they have a Merlot and a Pinot Grigio, Blood of Tyrants and Tears of Tyrants that you can get over at their website. It is bloodoftyrants.wine. Go over there. If you use promo code FSM, you will get 10% off your first order. Again, that is bloodoftyrants.wine. Or you can click the link in the description and use promo code FSM. We would greatly appreciate that, and it saves you money. So win-win, right? And our newest sponsor, MyArkit. Save your digital legacy for generations. Don't just save your pictures where they are at risk of being censored, deleted, or lost. MyArkit gives you security and privacy at a great price while telling the whole story in your own voice and writing. Unlike a cloud backup to just dump all of your random pictures, MyArkit has you upload one full memory at a time. A picture or video post with text and or audio captions create a timeline that makes going through your memories an easy and pleasant experience for you and your loved ones. Sign up for a 30-day free trial and see what the craze is all about. No payment info necessary. We're talking an actual free trial. So go to myarkit.com. Again, use promo code FSM for 10% off. That is MyArkit.com. Promo code FSM. You can sign up for a personal account to save your life forever. Or if you have an important event coming up, you can create an event account. This will let attendees add photos and videos for you and other admins to go through later. Curate a beautiful digital album for your upcoming wedding, convention, graduation, or shower. Go to myarkit.com to learn more. Use promo code FSM. That'd be great. Without further ado, joining the fight tonight, hailing from the Great White North, he is the co-host of Fight Stories Pod and The Main Offenders, and he's got a comedy special, Pimp Daddy, available now. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Tyler Morrison.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
My absolute pleasure. So last time we talked, you were putting the finishing touches on Pimp Daddy and about to release it. So tell me about what the rest of that process was like. What was your favorite part about being able to actually get that together and get it out?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a process when you do a stand-up special. That one, actually, I recorded it a little bit like further back. Like usually it goes out faster than it did. This one, there was a little bit of bullshit in post-production that we had to fix, and it took longer. So by the time Pimp Daddy came out, I was fucking sick of it, but people seem to like it, so I was happy about that. It's always stressful when you put out a special or any piece of art, really. You know, you put that out there and it's there to be criticized. So the majority of people seem to, you know, that have seen it have been pretty positive on that one. And And yeah, it was cool to get that out. And then since then, I actually put out another sort of like a mini special. It's like 20-minute, just a barn burner set that I was able to drop in and do, and had all the cameras there. So I'm like, let's fucking roll it. So I did mostly all never done before material, and that's called Running Rampant, and you can check that out on YouTube now too. That's one of my favorite things that I've put out. It just sometimes you catch a hot one, and it's nice to put it out.
That's nice. That's awesome. I saw that on there when I was looking through and getting ready for the show. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet though, so I am definitely gonna have to check that one out.
Yeah, that's it. That one's a little bit more. I talk about some more current stuff. I talk about the there's a little bit of Pimp or a little bit of Puff Daddy stuff or P Diddy. I'm all confused now because I was talking about Pimp Daddy, and this changes his name so many times. Now I think we know why.
Right.
But yeah, man, that's
nice.
It's always interesting to see how people react to your comedy. But I think right now the people that are checking me out are mostly fans of that type of comedy. So if my shit ever gets out into the mainstream, I think there'll probably be a lot of people that fucking hate it. But
but isn't that kind of the mark of good comedy? Like as much as I hate it in almost every other genre, the whole like, oh, you didn't make it till you got haters and do it for the hate. Blah, blah. But like genuinely, I think that you are not a good comedian unless you are actually actively offending some people.
I mean,
that
that's
means
part
you're
of
either not pushing any issues or you're not out there enough to like, there's got to be somebody you've pissed off. Otherwise, are you even really doing it?
Yeah, I think it's sort of the part of the fun of watching a comedian is knowing that there's people that are gonna fucking hate that. You know what I mean? Like that is
right.
That is fun. I mean, and as long as you're trying to be funny, I think that's important. But
yeah, as long as you're not doing it to get haters.
Yeah, that's like kind of weak. But
you don't want to be like a Rush Limbaugh of comedy. There's a few people that go into that route where it's just like, I'm just gonna try to offend people, and that gets just as tiring as trying not to offend people, because you're not doing it for the joke, you're doing it for the whatever, the social points or whatever, and it's just not good.
There were a few comedians who made some very hard right turns, and it was more obvious than just they naturally lean that way or whatever. And it's like, because there's money over there. And there's not a lot of people that are that before. But comedy traditionally has been pretty liberal minded people overall, and Hollywood's very liberal, but I think they got a little too carried away with all their bullshit, and you can't punish good comics just because they maybe don't fit 100% into your agenda. That's not what comedy should be anyway.
Yeah.
So I think there was you see a little bit of there's been a course correction in comedy. It's swinging back around to edgy shit again, but there are some guys that took that fucking Fox News bag.
Right. Yeah.
And really, like, I don't blame them. Like, it's
there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money in towing the line and being like a Jimmy Fallon or a Stephen Colbert or whatever, who's just gonna try to make comedy out of literal CIA talking points. And then there's money to be made on the other side where you're controlled opposition for the CIA, if you like, is really what you're doing. I think there's not a lot of money to be made in the middle.
I know, and that sucks, because in the middle is where the funniest shit is, making fun of everyone, you know what I mean? And like not having a master to dance to. And I think that's, where the most honest comedy is going to come from. I don't mind if like someone is like, they believe what they believe and they fucking stick to it. That's cool. But there's people that have just like,
you
can sell out either way is what I'm saying. And it's,
I love that you said that, like, you agreeing with someone isn't really what comedy's about. Because there's one comedian that I found, it's probably like maybe 2 years ago now, but thanks to a buddy of mine, Dave Smith, who is very with me on most political issues. He's an anarchist, and he on like Rogan, on my show, on a couple of other shows that I watched him on, he kept talking about Nate Bargatze, and I was like, okay, let me go check this dude out. And he had a bunch, like, he had in one of his specials, he had like a little chunk where he was actively shitting on anybody like in my vein of politics, and like very much kind of your status quo, more normie politics, not my viewers politics, right? But he made it funny. He did a great job. The rest of the special was great. And he's hilarious. I think I've watched every special he's put out at this point, unless he's got something new. And he's great. But to your point, like, it shouldn't be about agreeing with them on anything. Like, him and Dave could probably debate for hours and hours about politics, but they're both funny. It was a good recommendation. So I like that most comedians still understand that it's the audience that fucks it up.
It's all about, for me, it's like, go for the joke. You know what I mean? Like, if the joke is there, I want it, and I'm just always looking for it. And I'll make a joke against my own beliefs in spite of, if the joke is if that's the funniest joke that I can think of, that's what I want. It's all about, just finding the funny in anything, really. And in politics, comedians always play, it's always been a thing where they come into play. It's a big part of what we do. But I think it's kind of fun when they don't really know what your true like Norm Macdonald, you didn't really know.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really fucking know that guy.
He was probably like an unironic bleeding heart commie or something.
Who knows? I just don't like politicians because they're fucking dorks, man. They're the fucking rich kids, and I never fucking liked rich kids. They're fucking spoiled little pussies, and you don't get into politics if you're poor. Usually, I mean, it's to get to the highest levels of politics, you need to be greasing the wheel and have how long it goes back, these families.
Oh yeah.
I mean, RFK, he was never a little poor boy, was he? All these guys. Donald Trump, like, I'm sure Biden, I don't know that much, but I'm sure they all have, come from some sort of deep well of money to be even playing at that level in that race. And you know what? Like, I don't think any of those guys would sit down and have a fucking beer with me, and I don't give a shit about them. You know what I mean? So other than it's like pretty funny. Trump's fucking hilarious.
Trump is funny. Trump I would have a drink with purely just because it would be some entertainment. I'd have him on the show. If you want to come on the show, I would be very much down for that. RFK, not so much. I don't want to put my audience through that. They can just go mow the lawn and hear about the same quality of.
He sounds like Optimus Prime when he's dying. It's.
But yeah, you were saying
fucking like, Cheryl Hines though, not bad, eh? Not bad. That's
right.
That fucking Kennedy name. Jesus, that gets you a lot of.
Not bad. True.
You can kill your ex-wife.
Stick a bear in Central Park.
Oh yeah, he did. What happened with that? I was like,
so many fucking stories. This dude should never have run for president, but knowing how many skeletons he had in his closet.
I kind of think he should be president now. Fucking killing baby bears, and the ex-wife thing's pretty wild.
Yeah, that one's a little. But you were saying like going for the joke, even if it's against your beliefs, and I've been trying to convince my wife of this because I get myself into trouble often because I'll just like laugh to myself, just like a little like, because it's not controllable, because I'll make a punchline in my head. I don't think it's not true. I don't want to poke fun at that thing, but she said a thing, there's a punchline there, it came into my head. I stopped myself from saying it, which I feel like is something I should get credit for.
Well, it's because you have an allegiance to that, and you don't want to be playing against your own team or whatever, I guess. But it is the fact that we do censor ourselves in that way, it just goes to show you how I guess, team-oriented politics have become. That like it's like oh that like no one should be above being made fun of, regardless of
I meant
whether
making
we're
fun
on
of
your
her,
side.
like
You know what I mean?
conversations with her. I don't censor myself making fun of politicians at all.
Yeah.
I censor myself making fun of my wife sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But when
You
I
gotta
just like
fucking-
snort, she'll be like, "What?" And she'll like, make me tell her, and I'll be like, "This isn't like a thing I actually think. It was just a funny punchline because I can't not think it." But yeah, it's a rough life to live when your brain works that way, and you have to like think of whether or not you should actually make fun of people to their face, or maybe be nicer.
Well, yeah, but also that it does go back to a lot of the pressure from online that has happened. Like it's definitely made people think twice about making about do I pull the trigger on this joke? How many good jokes got shut down before they even came out because of the fear of like an online Twitter mob or whatever, Like
Yeah.
I've had everyone's mobs come at me at one point or another. I've had, Jewish people, Palestinians, Frankie Grande fans. They're pretty bad. They fucking don't like. Who else? Oh, Chris Brown fans. They're pretty mad about that one.
Fair enough. Yeah, I can see that. Man. Well, speaking of pissing people off, tell me about the roast of Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, that was a crazy experience getting to be part of that. I was writing on it and got to go down and be there, and my
so
whole
jealous.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was gonna happen, and then all of a sudden it was like, okay, this is on. I was in New York City doing some Fight Stories episodes down there, and Andrew Schultz, who's my friend, he was headlining Madison Square Garden that weekend, which is such a crowning achievement for a comic, right? And
hell yeah,
I was like, I got to go to this, so I went to that on the Friday night, and partying after till about 3 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning. I was staying in Jersey, so I go back to Jersey, so I get back late, and then I got to go to the airport like 6:30 in the morning to fly back to Canada because I was doing Winnipeg Comedy Festival in like way the fuck out, Winnipeg's middle of Canada. Yeah. So I'm flying to Winnipeg in the morning early, and I fly to Toronto. Connecting flight gets delayed, so I'm in Toronto all day. So I start boozing it up with some friends down there, and the flight gets delayed until about 6:30 at night, and I left in the morning. So I had a pretty long day. By the time I get to Winnipeg, it's 9 p.m. when I land. I'm going on stage at 9:30. Their people are rushing me to the gig. I get to the gig as I'm walking on stage for this roast that we were doing out there. Party after the show till 4 in the morning. Go to the airport at 5 and fly to LA for Brady roast. So It was just a wild. Yeah, and I was lucky. Shout out to the Andes Hotel. These guys gave me early check-in at 11 a.m., which you usually don't get. And I was like, you guys are amazing.
Early.
So I could get, I went in, I didn't have much time. I just had a shower and shaved, and then got into an Uber and went over to the LA Forum, and for 1 o'clock, and it was game on right from then on. And it's a surreal experience being around that level of Hollywood. I've never been around anything that Hollywood. I've done these other roasts where they're a little bit more, I guess it's like more of a carny atmosphere around like the wrestling roast, or like the Ron Jeremy roast was, it's all it's a little bit of a circus, right? And this is just the next level. Like we're standing in the hallway, me and a couple of the other writers, and we, it's like all these NFL dudes are walking by, and it's like they're huge. They dwarf you. It's crazy how big these guys are in real life.
Yeah.
Like they make you feel so small. And then Kim Kardashian's walking by. We didn't even know Kim Kardashian was on the roast until she walked by us in the hallway before the thing. So it's, and then Ben Affleck was on. I didn't see him backstage or anything, but like he was fucked up at that roast. If you saw his I mean, you can see why.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I can tell why. I know why him and J-Lo are divorcing. Like that guy's going deep with the booze. I think. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm at the bar getting fucked up. I'm like, man, at least Ben Affleck's here. He's making me look good.
That's such a wild sentence to be able to say, though. Like that Ben Affleck is the person that's making you look good, not Greg. You know, like
it's so funny. And like, if you're gonna get fucked up, that was the place to get trashed because it was interesting because it like you go to any comedy roast or like roast battle or whatever, it's all comedy fans. But at this one, it was Patriots Nation. It was all football fans, and they were getting wasted in the crowd. Me and one of my buddies, Ryan Neeson, who was writing on it, we were standing in the back, like in the arena, and we were just watching drunk Patriot fans fall down the stairs. It was that was more entertaining than the roast.
that's great.
And like, yeah, it was crazy. I mean, Gronk really is wild. He's a wild card. I mean, I don't know if people really could tell what happened when you watched the roast, but when he spiked that shot, did you see that? He spiked a shot on stage that broke glass, and like it cut people in the crowd. Like there's people that got diced up a bit from that. There was some shrapnel. And Kevin Hart, being such a good host, he did time in between like a stand-up comic would do. If something in the room got messed up, he I guess he stalled till it could kind of get sorted out, and he reset the room for Andrew Schultz to go on stage right after, because the Gronk shot slam happened right before Schultz, so it could have really easily affected Andrew's set, especially as late in the night as it was. So Kevin Hart doing what he did was consummate professional. I have nothing but good things to say about Kevin Hart and his ability. He made me laugh really hard and just did a great job as a host.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I'm a fan of Kevin. Like, nothing negative to say about his actual like skill as a comic. I was surprised to see him part of this, considering he seems to, as far as the split of the people who are getting the unoffensive money versus the offensive money, most of the comics there were on one side. He's kind of seemed to have been going towards the other side. So to see him not only there but seeing it a little bit, like, I guess maybe I just kind of as an outsider and highly critical of people who are going that way, maybe I misjudged him earlier but definitely like with some of like the COVID stuff and a little bit of the aftermath with that, he kind of like seemed to definitely be a status quo comedian versus like a Schultz or a
he's playing the one game.
Who is the other one? Hinchcliffe was who I'm thinking
Hinchcliffe,
of. They definitely go the other way.
Hinchcliffe, I mean, he killed it on that roast.
God, I love Tony.
It's pretty wild seeing how big he's blown up. It's great to see because I mean, I always get along with him. We've done multiple roasts together. We did, I think, 3 different Iron Sheik roasts together, and the Ron Jeremy roast. So we hadn't seen each other in years. And he comes walking up and he recognizes me. Like, it took him a second because I'm fucking fatter now, I guess. And he's like, he just looks at me and goes, "Oh, fuck. Looks like someone's calling me a faggot tonight." Like, tonight, we've been just saying it all day. But man, like, talk about a guy seizing the moment. Like, he, they didn't give him the dais spot. He came out of the crowd and he took an opportunity and really maximized it. It was impressive. So good for him, man. That was cool.
The Dana White bucket pull part of it was I wasn't expecting it. I'm assuming, because you were there, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm assuming they were like getting drinks and resetting the stage while Dana was in the audience doing that.
I don't know what was happening
from
like,
just
I don't know what
events planning perspective. That was ingenious. If they pull camera here, this gets reset, and then Tony goes up.
Yeah, I can't remember what exactly, if they were doing anything specific because of that. I mean, it's a long time for the comics to be sitting on the stage, so it's good to cut to people in the crowd, I think. I mean, they got to take a piss or whatever. It's bad. When I was doing the Ric Flair roast, I had to piss so bad, and they had all these. I was lucky because they had all these video cameos of people because everyone was dropping off the roast, I guess. So they do the video as the, as the to make up for it. But they had all these video cameos on it. So during those videos, like I had to take a piss. So they had a guy who was like a security dude was running me to the washroom from the stage, and they had like walkie-talkies and shit. I've never felt more important in my life just because I got to take a piss because I'm an alcoholic. If you watch the Flair roast, I don't know if I talked about this on the last time I was on, but because I think I was wasted on the one that I did with you the last time. I can't even remember it. I remember the Blood of Tyrants ad, which is, by the way, a great name for a wine. It sounds like a metal band,
right? They're coming out with like branded coffees here in the near future and doing some other stuff. And my buddy Dan Berman runs it.
What's it called? Blood of Guatemalan kids.
He's just we actually were running a cannabis brand together a while back where we were really trying to shoot for like the kind of wine mom demographic that are just kind of starting to dip their toe into the like legal cannabis market. We're really trying to like market to a demographic that neither of us are really in, but know exists. And we were doing an all right job at that, but we were both just like having to like censor ourselves so much. And I'm not directly involved with Blood of Tyrants and like their marketing or anything like that anymore, but like he's having so much fun with this because he just gets to go like full fucking anarchist. Like when they go to events, they do like a Molotov cocktail toss. If you like get it into the thing, you get like a free bottle of wine or whatever. It's fucking great. But yeah, that's my favorite sponsor by far.
So what I was saying on the Flair roast, what they're doing is they're bringing beers up onto the stage, and I was sitting on like the right behind the the lectern where the comics or the performers would go up and roast. So I was sitting at the edge of the stage. So they passed me the beers, and then I'd pass them down the chain to the other performers. But none of these guys drink. So all the beers are coming back to me. I'm triple fisting the entire roast. And I don't know if anyone can like find it, but like at the end of the roast, I am hammered. And there's just so many beers probably gathered up around me. But I had to piss really bad. I almost pissed myself when Flair was on, and that was rough. I've never had to piss worse in my life because Flair was just up there, and I'm going, oh no, he's up there crying. He's wasted too. Like,
did you watch him bail on fucking Hinchcliffe?
On Kill Tony? I did see some of it. Yeah. I mean,
oh my God. I've never had like an anxiety attack from a YouTube video before. And like, I was on YouTube in the early days when they were like shooting people in these videos, but just Faces like, of death. I felt so sorry for Tony in that moment. Cause like, obviously he cares about the relationship with Rick. But and like everyone else on the stage at the time. And it was just like so awkward, and everyone was so drunk, and I was just watching it. I'm like, ow, this hurts my soul.
Someone should have been looking out for Rick beforehand. They shouldn't have let him go on. I think it's hard to tell Ric Flair anything though, and he's not going to listen probably. But it was a compromised situation. Tony's a big wrestling fan. The other comics, they don't give a shit. Some of those guys, they don't have the reverence. But if you look at a guy like Zach Amico, he's a huge hardcore wrestling fan. I love Zach. And at a certain point, even Zach's drawing the line like, fuck this guy. He's got to get hit. He's got to take the hits because now he's in our arena. And, if you're fucking up in his arena, he'd probably take you to task. So it's sort of a a tough spot. It's too bad.
Especially Zach Amico, he'd get his ass kicked.
I mean, it's just tough. It's just I think Rick was in a tough situation there, and Tony, what's Tony gonna do? You can't call off, those comics once they sense blood, and the guys asked for it. And I think there was stuff that got cut out of what was on YouTube too, the stuff that happened on the live feed that escalated things. But I wasn't there. I mean, it's too bad. My experience with Ric Flair was very positive, so I'm very happy that I had good times with Rick. I think he was pretty cool to me. So, but yeah, that's hey, I've got fucked up and ruined a lot of shows. I'm just
the guest, the bucket pull guy being a high school wrestling coach was just a bad culminate. That was the final Jenga piece that sent this shit all over. That was bad. But back to the Tom Brady roast, because I don't like framing this whole kind of war on comedy thing and this kind of culture war too much, because I don't buy into much of that. But there definitely has been some of that, especially on the mainstream comedy world. And I saw a lot of conversation online of kind of oh, we're back. With the roast of Tom Brady. It was just some of the best, knocked it out of the park, told the jokes that you're not allowed to tell. Not that nobody gave a fuck, but nobody in the arena gave a fuck. Nobody on stage gave a fuck for the most part. And it was just good, high quality. You're talking about the echelons of Hollywood. It was a well done production. It wasn't some comedy seller thing, I don't know. There was just such a giganticness to it that
there was.
Made
it was very it was grandiose.
Yeah, that's a good word.
1 second here. My Windows is trying to.
You're good.
Sorry, my computer's trying to restart, and I'm like, "Fuck you, fuck you, Bill Gates. I know what you're trying to do, dude."
Yeah. We started talking about the roast, and he's like, "No, we didn't like that." No.
It was there was a lot of it was a spectacle. It was the biggest roast that there's ever been. You watch the Comedy Central ones, they were in, theaters or kind of banquet hall type, things, and they were cool. But if you this was in an arena, and it was sports fans, and it was athletes, and it was sort of like comedy had been co-opted by whiny nerds, and now the jocks are taking it back. The winners are here to fucking lay it down how it is, but also we're making fun of the winners and taking them down a peg, so it still has that punching up factor to it. But it really was this celebration of not giving a fuck. And I think that everyone felt that with the tone of the jokes. It wasn't there was no censorship really. There was only a couple things that I think were noted, and it was don't make jokes about the Robert Kraft thing. That's where there was that thing with Jeff Ross and Brady. Yeah. I think that was a real thing. And then the don't make fun of the guy's kids, which is totally fair. For all the stuff that was on the table, Brady was a total gem for keeping it like that. Other guys, on roasts, I'm sure they have way more off limits things.
They went in about the ex-wife, so but kids are off the table. That's
which is totally reasonable, and I think I mean it was such a grand scale of a roast that I don't think Brady even really could see into the future of what kind of effect that was gonna have. I mean, he was, he did talk about it afterwards, I think, saying he does regret that it was, that his kids kind of, it affected them a little bit because, all these people were just bagging on their mom, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But he also, I think, said, they're going to pay you millions of dollars to, they pay me millions of dollars to have a bunch of people make fun of my ex-wife that cheated on me. You point to a guy in America that's had that happen that wouldn't take that deal. and he's 100%
That's
right.
valid. Yeah.
You know, 100%
The
right.
fucking a Brazilian out of half their purse line was
That was a
great.
great joke. That was a
And then
Schultz
Tom coming
fucking
up
jam.
with the 9/11 joke.
What was that?
Like Tom's like after he did his like monologue about how great he was, the Drew Bledsoe joke was fucking wild. And yeah, I don't know. So because I'm from the Northeast, I'm a lifelong New England Patriots fan. I grew up as a
nice.
I was watching the game that Bledsoe got injured at, like, I remember I was like 5. Yeah, somewhere around there. But like I remember that game. I was there, and I've been a Patriots fan since a little bit before then. So like this was, and I was a huge fan. Like peak football was during the like Edelman Moss, like though that window from Moss to Edelman. And so it was all of my favorite people on a stage together, my favorite comedians, my favorite sports people. Like it was just like a culmination of my 15-year-old me was inside just going, holy fucking shit.
I mean, those guys are winners, man. Like, holy shit. I mean, it's too bad Aaron Hernandez couldn't be there, but you know, would have been a better hang.
Yeah, his was kind of lonely.
But no, it was I'll say this. I watched the Brady set from the control room with, you know, there's a bunch of the production people there, and they're watching on the monitor, and it was an experience I think for, you know, to see them all get to see it wrap up like that, because Tom destroyed. I thought Brady had one of the funniest, like that's one of the best rebuttals, maybe the best rebuttal of all time from a celebrity non-comedian. Like it was so good, and it was so cocky. It was fucking great.
Yeah.
But Drew Bledsoe did pretty good too, and Bledsoe was probably the coolest guy out of all of them. I thought he was fucking awesome. Like, like when we were sitting there after the roast, and the guys were like, I mean, Schultz had just done MSG 2 nights in a row, and then had to fly out to LA to do the roast. Like it was all in the same weekend. It's insanity. Yeah. And they're all tired out. And everyone's like contemplating whether we shut it down or whatever. I'm like, guys, you know, Schultz just fucking destroyed the Brady roast. Let's fucking go drinking. And he gets a text from it was from Bledsoe saying Comedy Store, pull up. So Bledsoe was partying at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, he was the man. He partied all night at the Comedy Store. I thought awesome. He was cool. Brady fucked off. He flew to Italy like that night. I think he had like a race or something. He sponsors like, you know, the race cars. That's so I think he didn't stick around for the party, but
that's
everyone else had a good time. Yeah.
Sponsoring a race car in Italy, that is some just like, oh yeah,
he might own it. I don't know. Fucking, he probably owns it. So, but what's his name? Edelman was saying, I was watching his podcast, and he's like, all the boys are here, and Tom doesn't even hang out. Like everyone was there, and they're all ready to party with him, and I guess he just took off. But you know what? Fucking... It's getting roasted like that. You got to have some sort of feeling too, right? Like it's got to be overwhelming, even for a guy like, you know, who's played on such a big stage in football. It's a different arena this time, you know.
Yeah,
it was the LA Forum is the arena Magic Johnson got AIDS in, man. Like there's there's higher stakes.
Right. Dude, not to sound too hipster, but it's been amazing to watch Schultz come up over the last few years, because I did find him not super early on, but like enough early on to where I can say that it's nice to watch him come up and kind of finish. Like selling out MSG is just like
Yeah, I mean
an
that's
amazing accomplishment.
It's crazy. I mean, all these dudes, they're getting, some of these guys are getting really massively famous. It's kind of wild. I mean, Gillis blowing up the way he has. These guys are selling out arenas. Hinchcliffe's show is selling out arenas. Like it is nuts, man. Comedy's a big thing, and it's cool to be around that and contribute in some way to these big projects. But you gotta look at. I saw when I first worked with Schultz, it was the first time he did Toronto, ever. So we did a show, 100 people at the comedy bar in Toronto, 100 people, and then we became friends. I brought him up to Canada for a few shows, and so we did a couple shows there, and we worked on some stuff together, and then. It just every time he came back, it was just growing and growing. So it would be the next time he came back, it was like 300 seats. Then it was 600 seats. Then I was there when it was 2,400 seats. I was opening for him at Danforth Music Hall, and to see Danforth Music Hall was when we knew, like, it was like the real moment backstage, watching him. Like, we knew, like, he's about to realize his dream. It's about to come. Like, we knew the next time he comes in, it's going to be, I don't know how many. He must have he did Meridian Hall, I think. So I don't know how many shows he did. It could have been like 12,000 people or something. It grew like exponentially. Yeah. And then the next time it was Scotiabank, which is where Toronto Raptors play. And it was 12,000 people each show, I think. So he sold like 24,000 tickets in Toronto.
Wow.
And then Madison Square Garden was coming. But Toronto was always kind of the city that he uses the measuring stick. That's where he first got his love, was in Toronto, a lot of it. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, to be around and watch a guy, go like that, it's cool, because it's like, yeah, it can happen if you put in the work and do all the right thing, but it's how many people have ever been that big in comedy? Not many before. We're in an age now, right now, though, where we're seeing more arena comics than there's ever been.
Yeah.
And there wasn't that many in the past. In the past, you'd have Steve Martin, I think, was maybe the first big arena comic. Then you got Pryor got to that sort of level. Eddie Murphy, Dice Clay. Dice Clay was the first one to sell out Madison Square Garden as a comic. Like, who else was doing arenas? I mean, Dane Cook, Larry the Cable Guy probably was doing those type of numbers. Did Dunham ever get that big? Like, there's some Russell Peters, Chris Rock sold some arenas. I'm imagining, but really, like, that's over, a long time frame. There's not that many. Like stadiums, it's nuts. Yeah. It's nuts seeing these guys. Like when Gillis and Schultz were doing Edmonton, they were doing an outdoor venue, and it was like 40,000 people. That's insane. I mean, I don't know how it's going to be overwhelming to do as a comic. It can't feel the same. It's got to feel kind of crazy, because, like, when you do stand up, the timing is so different in a bigger venue. I mean, the biggest I've done is 5,000 seats, but it's, you do a bar and the laughs come back. Like, you got to be reloading the jokes fast. It's like every time you tell a joke, it's like throwing a ball and we're like really close to each other. That ball's coming back quicker. That's the laugh. But if you're doing it like, 5,000 seats and up, it's like throwing a football across the state or across the field and waiting for it to come back, because that's the laughs. They come back in waves. And so you have to adjust your timing for that. I couldn't imagine what it's like doing like the big arenas. I mean,
yeah. So I pulled up an article that's outdated. It's from 2014, but to your point, like, at least before this age, it was only 6. It's Murphy, Clay, Dane Cook, Chris Rock, Russell Peters, Kevin Hart. That's it. Those are the only sold out. And then the article is about Aziz Ansari being the 7th in 2014.
But was that in 2014 though, or before? Like, I know because Dice
it's like
and
June.
Murphy weren't. But Steve Martin was selling arenas too. There's videos of him.
Well, that's just selling out MSG is the other
MSG.
club.
Yeah. And then Louis CK, he was doing that too. But yeah, there are just not that many big arena comics. Yeah, again, and it's just this is sort of a newer phenomenon. I'm not sure if it has more to do with like Live Nation getting also more involved in comedy because they have that sort of marketing push. That could be what's driving a few more of these arena comics. I think Schultz was gonna do that anyway. Like he would have been selling arenas anyway. But we do see that it's a big machine right now.
What do you think the podcasting world has? Do you think that has anything to do with the incline in interest?
Yeah, because back in the day, there could only be so many famous comics. There's only so many spots. There's only so many. You had the Tonight Show. You had, you get a sitcom, and if you could do that, or get on Saturday Night Live, whatever. Those were the limited spots. You had to play ball to get to those spots, and then what you do with that, and then how good is your stand up? That if you're doing those other things, how good is your stand up that you can also cultivate a fan base with your stand up that way to the point where you're growing an army of fans. I think that the podcast world you're able to reach so many more people, or you develop a more loyal base of followers. If you have a podcast, they can follow you every week. They follow along, they get to know you. They feel like they're more part of you because you're part of their everyday life, or every week you're what they get. So they're more inclined to spend their money, their comedy dollar on you when you come into town. If they listen to you every week, they're going to come support you. So it's that trade-off with the fans, really. But now it's like we can have our own platforms. It's been a little tight, I think, lately though, with these social media platforms getting real greedy, and you see how they are. They want you paying for their little fucking boosts, their little post boosts, or they suppress you in the algorithm. They're little fuckers, man. I don't like them.
I'm with you on that. I promise this is the last time I'll bring him up, but I do want to, while we're talking about podcasts, Schultz's podcast is, I think, my absolute favorite interview show that's out right now. Him and Akash absolutely kill it. And I'm spacing on the other two co-host names, but they're also
Mark
pretty
Gagnon.
awesome.
Yeah, Mark Gagnon and Alex. Yeah, those guys are those guys are beauties, man. They're they got to where they are because they're a great hangout, and they had a lot of fun together, and that's the key. I think the best podcasts have that element of you live vicariously through the hangout. You see you see yourself and your friends in what these guys have. And that's what made Flagrant special. That's what made Matt and Shane special, is they just have that chemistry together, and it's a good time. And that's why Blink 182 is so fucking big, is because they're friends and they fuck around and they're just having a good time doing their thing, and people live vicariously through that. They see those guys and they're like, oh, that's like me and my friends. And it's like, yeah, maybe we can't do that, but we can enjoy seeing them do that. And you feel that connection. And that's what a good podcast, has. And that's why those things get very big, because how many people don't have that many friends, just hanging out. It's like, fuck, you watch these guys though, and you feel like you're part of it.
Yeah.
And then you root for those people.
Yeah. And I think Andrew, I've watched a lot more of their political guest episodes than anything else, just because of who I am. And he's in a stage of like caring about politics just a little bit, where he asks some of the most genuine questions to get some of the absolute best, most informative, like thought out answers from his guests on different topics that like no political podcaster would ask such a simple question, because we already kind of know the answer to it, but
Coming
not
from
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, if you
And a
come
comedian
at it
wouldn't
in
ask that question.
if you come at it from like a in like a layman's terms type person, like tell me about politics in layman's terms. Well, how many people really know that much about politics? If you go on the internet, everyone thinks they're a fucking genius, but really everyone's a fucking moron. If you're most people, they just pick a team and think that they know everything. It's just like sports. But sometimes you'll get more, I guess, maybe more truthful answers too, because they're not natural talking points that they're used to hearing. I don't know.
Yeah, like they just had Dave Smith on, who I've had on a couple. He's done 3 debates with me, and I think 3 interviews now, and I genuinely think it was a better interview, more informative on his political ideology than when I interviewed him on it, because Andrew asked better questions than I did. And like that's awesome.
But you're also probably more. You and Dave are on the same wavelength with your politics, and have had conversations off camera too. So I'm guessing by the time you get on camera, you're already like in an advanced stage of your relationship and conversations, that you're not going to go back to square one and ask him simple questions about it. And your audience you're assuming that they're kind of caught up on what's happening in politics too with that stuff. So, but Dave is a smart motherfucker, man. I worked with him on Big J Okerson's roast.
Oh, nice. Yeah. He's great. He's also somebody who's just a good fucking hang. Legion of Skanks also kind of goes in that category of
Skanks is funny.
Just fucking great. I want to get Louis J. Gomez on the show more than I want Dave back again, because like I want to talk to him about some of the stuff with Gas Digital, because he fascinates me as a businessman. Like I have a lot of respect for Gomez. But speaking of, yeah, right. Like he's got so many other things that I would like to talk to him about, but I also just want to have him on about like, you built Gas Digital, you did some awesome stuff with it, you built Skankfest, like you've just done some wild shit, successful shit that just like. Please give me, I run a media company too. If I could just get like a little nugget of your success and how you did it, I would love that. But speaking of podcast, you've got a new one that you're doing, Main Offenders. Episode 4 launched this week with your co-host Tom O'Donnell. Tell me about that. What are you guys up to? And what's your show about?
Sure. So Main Offenders is the new podcast. It's on YouTube, Apple Music, and Spotify, all that stuff. The video, we got video on YouTube, so we do it in this studio right here. But Tom O'Donnell is one of my best friends, longtime buddy in comedy. He's a stand-up comedian too, and he's sort of I'd say he's a wild card, and he and I have got in a lot of trouble over the years, just at shows or kicked out of bars, all that. And we used to have a podcast together with another comic, Jarrett Campbell, who we're still really good friends with, but he moved down to New York. So we decided, after a long hiatus or whatever, we just said, we really like doing podcasts together and we love hanging out. And in turn, like, the industry is what it is, and you can play that game and all this, but I'm like, I just want to make my own shit and have fun with the people that I genuinely like and want to hang out with. And we just have so much fun. Like, every time we're together, we're just laughing our asses off, just telling stupid stories. And it's always, every time we don't have a camera rolling, we're like, we should have been fucking rolling, because we hit a good riff, and it's like, that's where it is. We have a chemistry and a good hangout, and that's really all it is. We're basically talk a lot about things that are how to put it, things that have been like considered canceled, or people who can you separate the artist from the artwork? of these people, and we get our producer to just hit us with names, and then we'll break these fuckers down and figure out if we can keep them or not, and and we just tell stories behind the scenes shit that we've that have happened to us. I mean, Tom's been kicked out of every bar in his city.
I love it.
There's never a dull moment. He's banned from my house currently because he pissed the guest bedroom. So I rented a fucking RV for the summer, so he could stay in the RV in my driveway. Because we're doing these podcasts and we're doing like stand-up shows every weekend up here. I did like a summer residency where I had like a pop-up comedy club, and I headlined it every Saturday night. And I just brought Tommy up to host it for me. So yeah, we've been getting wasted every weekend. But yeah, so he pissed the guest bedroom, then he pissed his air mattress in the studio. He's just fucking up left and right.
Man, he sounds like my 5-year-old.
This guy's the man. You gotta meet him. My kids call him Tommy Pee Pants.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm definitely loving the continued trajectory of the combination of like comedy and politics, and I don't know what is modern media or like alternative media with kind of the podcasting and the other things like that. And I've talked about it a few times on the show. I think we might have last time you were on, but originally comedy was like I said in the intro, like that final battleground on like free speech and anything. If you're going all the way back to like I'm spacing on his name, that like dude in like the 40s that was getting arrested for it.
Oh, Lenny Bruce.
Lenny Bruce,
60s.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Goddamn 60s, yeah. And on from there, it's been a tradition that I think the like anti-establishment political community hasn't tapped into enough in former years. Like if there were a couple of like the up and coming, like maybe even progressive Democrat kind of like out there free speech activists of the 60s latched onto Lenny Bruce and had him like headlining fundraising events and stuff like that, and were like supporting him and doing like they could have teamed up back then. Same with like multiple people throughout. And now you're seeing a world where the comics have kind of realized that if they let politics go, the bad politicians will actually ruin their careers. They watched that happen with COVID, and I think that was a real moment where they're like, oh, we should actually care about this and get this going somewhere and work with these guys. And the Dave Smiths of the world are able to bring their worlds together instead of just kind of doing these two separate things. And everyone else, whether you're talking like Rogan or whoever, there's just been this real shift into not preaching from the comedy stage necessarily, not getting too political, but just kind of a together world where, you're seeing candidates on shows like Flagrant or and you're seeing comics headline like political conventions and stuff. It's cool to finally see happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's always been like that. Yeah, comedy and politics have always gone hand in hand. I mean, you have the what's it called? The White House Correspondents' Dinner every year. That's like one of the big ones. And Matt Friend just did it. I just worked with Matt Friend, and he's awesome. Like he's a talented dude, and like he's more of an impressionist than like he's not like a hardcore political commentator. He's just funny, talented impression. He does that shit. But that particular gig, that correspondent, you see over the years the controversy. This you tell an edgy, nasty joke to the politicians, it sends shockwaves. We're that's our job, is to keep the politicians honest.
Yeah,
as best we can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Call out their shit. So that's the one thing that you got to be we were talking about earlier, you got to be careful about dick riding politicians. If you're a comic, you can't just go out for a fucking dicky ride, boys. You got to fucking break a few eggs in the corners.
Yeah, I'm definitely not advocating teaming up too much with politicians, because that gets in.
But having dialogue with them is fine. Having that open discussion and using your platform as a comedian. I mean, it's just like talk shows. They're just talk shows, But having open, honest discussions with people is always the best thing, because the more information people have, the better. And if you look at the way that the mainstream media has absolutely, shifted things and compromised things, these podcasts are maybe some of the only places you're going to get that open, honest discussion without the bullshit. You can't watch CNN or Fox. You got to watch CNN and Fox, and then find somewhere in the middle, because it's right. Just everyone's got their skew to it. And even you see the shit that like Zuckerberg just admitted to, this fucking asshole, talking about how the government leaned on them for COVID stuff and Hunter Biden stuff, and in particular comedy about these things, and how they were pressured into suppressing. You want to talk about, these platforms that are stifling, they're smothering free speech. They have the power. The governments are flexing their power on these platforms. The platforms are, willing to budge and not not fight a good fight. Zuckerberg, he could, I don't know the extent of what happened there, but it sounds like, now he's coming out and saying it, and it's like, now that he's out of the woods, it's safe to say shit now. But he didn't fucking stand up back then, did he? He fucking caved. So
right.
What does that say about, these platforms? They've all been compromised in one way or another. Instagram, Threads, Facebook, that's all Zuckerberg. He's just admitted that he's compromised as a platform. So what you put out there, it's probably going to get shut down if it's not status quo, if it doesn't fit the agenda of whatever political power has the flex. And then, I mean, X is maybe the only one that's like,
it's getting there. It's not perfect, but it's getting there.
It's not, but it's a little wild. I think
it's better than the rest. I'll give it that.
It is better than the rest, but I think it also caters to like a wilder segment of the population, like a more unhinged segment of the population. So it's like, I don't know how to say it. That's the only one where I feel like I'm not getting fucking shadow banned or shut down on, in terms of like at least the material going out. Even YouTube, like once I got one flag on a video, all of a sudden I just noticed like, oh, no more bigger views. Like it's,
oh yeah, fuck YouTube. I try to send most of my traffic to Rumble if I can. I will say I just had the biggest thing I've ever done went out about 2 weeks ago. It was a debate on the Israel-Palestine issue, so it was a fun one. That had 25,000 views on YouTube. So like, thanks YouTube.
People get pretty passionate.
Oh yes. But YouTube didn't give me anything for that because I still can't be monetized over there. Rumble, however, with the 5,000 views I got over there, they're actually going to cut me a check for that. It's nothing big.
Oh, that's nice.
But like, I think it's like $12 I made off of the one video, or like 5,000 views. It's a ratio I can work with, and it's a platform that my stuff's not going to get taken down for most of the time. Also, I'm a big fan of Odyssey. It doesn't quite have the viewership, but the platform itself is really good. I very much recommend everyone put their stuff on Odyssey, even if they don't push viewership there. Just have it exist, because the way that their platform works, it runs on a blockchain that will actually save all of your content, even if for some reason you get removed.
That's good. Blockchain.
Your content, is still there. And everything is also open source. So if they remove so many people that someone goes like, well, fuck you, we're going to make Odyssey 2.0. You're completely legally able to do that and just take all the code, make Odyssey 2.0, reattach your account and put all your content right back there. And if you know how to do that, and there you go, voila.
Do you know the guys that run that? Do you know the dude?
I do, actually. Jeremy
love to chat with
Kaufman
him.
is one of the main people, or was at least. I think they just got sued. The parent company of Odyssey got sued by the SEC because they're crypto based on the blockchain, and they try to do fun anarchistic things, and so the government doesn't like that. And but
I'd love to chat with these guys. I was involved in I don't know if we talked about it the last time, but sort of pioneering comedy in the metaverse and bringing comedy into Web3 during the pandemic. I did a lot of stuff like with that, so I'm very interested in anything Web3 in comedy, and I think it'd be cool to talk to those guys because that sounds like something I believe in the blockchain technology. And
it's definitely there's a lot of things over there that just make things make sense, because I feel like, not that I'm ever going to make Odyssey 2.0, because like, fuck it, I don't 100% know how. I know people that do, that I could pay to do it, but like, I'm not going to do that. I don't think my videos are ever going to get taken down, but just knowing that if I ever had a problem with them, I could just go right around them and make it my thing of my own. Just gives you that kind of security blanket of not having to worry. Where YouTube, I have a few friends where their whole accounts, every video, everything, 500,000 subscribers, just
Yep. No, I've seen it. I mean, you see guys like Ryan Long and Danny Polishuk, they've had their shit pulled down. Like those guys they're fucking beauties. All they're doing is comedy, and it's clear that the intention is just comedy. They're not, they make jokes about all that shit. I mean, there's political comedy too, of course, but whoever shuts them down on these platforms, and like they lose their TikTok account or whatever, or it's been multiple times with these guys. I see it. It's like, how do you fucking win in this game? With these little fucking pricks behind the scenes that just meddling with people's fucking livelihood and with their with their art or their ability to express their opinions however they want. It's so fucking egotistical.
I mean, that was kind of the dream, the original dream behind free speech media, was just to be on the founders, who are not me. Their kind of original thing was to just be on so many different platforms and things that all of the creators could feel confident that even if they got their YouTubes or their whatever down, people could find free speech media somewhere else and still watch your show. And I've kind of, since I become the president and kind of taken it forward into an actual company and everything, that's still a major part of it, and why we're on Rumble and Odyssey and working on an actual website that all of this will be hosted on, and making sure that my shows and everybody else's shows that are on here and everything else we do can remain, no matter what Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or whoever the fuck says about it. So that's a huge part of why I've stuck with it for so long. It's just kind of like, oh, fuck you, I'm not going to give up. I don't care that you, because I used to be getting 1,500 to like maybe 3,000 views an episode on Facebook when I first started this up, and it started to go up from there. Now I get like 7.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Just goes to show you, right? You put free speech in anything, and these fucks don't like that. So,
but that was also
I think
like
I'm gonna
4
put
years
stuff
ago.
on Rumble. Rumble sounds good. I have an account there. I just don't have any followers. So if you're on Rumble, fucking follow me. I'll post.
I
some
will
shit
say,
up
the the live streams do better on Rumble than uploaded content. Even
Yeah.
if it's like putting it into a StreamYard, even if it's pre-recorded, to just live stream it from the
Yeah.
StreamYard into Rumble,
Oh, that's
will
cool.
do so much better. They super promote their live content, and everything else kind of gets buried.
Nice. Yeah, we're gonna do some live stuff with main offenders. Tom lives in a different city than me, so it's nice if we can do stuff weekly too.
Yeah, hell yeah. Good luck on that though, dude. Like 4
Thanks, man.
episodes, you're sticking with it so far.
Oh,
I
yeah.
hope to see it continue and go somewhere. I've watched too many episodes or too many shows die on like episode 7, so don't
Yeah.
do that to me. All right.
We got 8 already.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, there you go. So I do want to talk about. We got a little bit more time, and
Sure.
today we don't normally do current events on the show, but there was a school shooting in Georgia today. So first of all, I will do the decent human thing and be like thoughts and prayers and whatever. But then
Congratulations on kids in Georgia still staying in school. It's
right. That's a shocker that there was anybody to actually shoot at in that part of Georgia. But so I know you said you haven't really read up on it at all, and I don't know if anybody watching has either. This just happened this morning, and the news is kind of just now coming in. But father was arrested and is being held on more charges than the kid who actually killed people today, which is wild to me.
I think the NRA's slogan should be "You'll get my rifle when you pry it from my son's cold dead hands."
So yeah, kid went in, shot up. There's 4 deceased and 9 injured, and then just surrendered to the school resource officer. No mention of whether or not he was or wasn't armed when he surrendered, and he's still listed as a suspect, which is insane. Also wild to me.
Yeah.
But he was so I posted a meme earlier today because it is just so perfect, because it's every single one of these fucking cases that he was already on an FBI list. He was already like questioned and interrogated by the FBI earlier in the year.
Or was it question? Was it like a recruiting list for the FBI?
I think so. I almost made that joke.
Assassination attempt.
Right.
This kid's got a really bad shot. Let's fucking get him for the next one.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier, was that they put these people on a list, and then the only contact that they make with them is if they want to get them to do something for them. Like it's either to kidnap the governor of Michigan, or it's to try to shoot at the president or something like that. They never stopped them from shooting up the school.
He's a patsy, right?
Always. And I don't know. At this point, I don't know if you guys have quite the same issue up there, but it really is an almost every fucking time thing that the FBI already knew about the kid. They didn't do anything, and the kid shoots up a school, and then the response is, we need more laws and stuff. It's like, no, because the laws aren't working. There are already laws against threatening to shoot up a school, which this kid did. Here's the wild part. So threatened to shoot up his school in May of last year. Then his dad argued in court, or like to the FBI, that the only guns in the house are the dad's, and the kid doesn't have like access to it. He was 13 at the time. He's 14 now. Then the dad went and bought the kid a rifle for Christmas.
So
now he does have access to a gun.
Yeah.
Got kicked out of his school. First day at the new school, shoots it up. Doesn't know any of the people that like. It's just
get to know them
random.
before you shoot them. Like,
yeah, let somebody be able to make friends with you, and do that whole. You always make friends with the kid in the hoodie in the back of the class. Like, that's just something everybody should know by now. If you guys don't know and you're watching this and you're still in school, turn this off. You shouldn't be watching this if you're still in school. Go fuck off. But go make friends with the dude in the hoodie in the back of the class. But just so many holes in this story, and so many fucking wild bits.
So many holes in the kids in the story too. That's it's terrible, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know it happened because I was watching Alex Jones.
I'm enjoying his show being back on X.
He's a wild man.
It's I've watched a little bit more of it. I introduced my wife to who Alex Jones was a few days ago. She was not familiar. And so I introduced her first with the like remix video of Turning the Frogs Gay, like the punk song, or not punk, techno song. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
And then I showed her like a live stream that was on the other day, and I was like, "Yeah, this guy. This is what I'm talking about. He sounds crazy. Yeah, kind of a little bit, but
yeah, we don't have the school shooting epidemic in Canada. It's just the gun culture is way different, and I don't know what it is. America has all these type of things where other parts of the world it's it's not the same. I mean, there's child soldiers, but those countries are usually pretty fucking poor.
Yeah, most of the time when a school gets blown up over there, it's our bombs being dropped on it, so it's still our fault. Sometimes they're your bombs. You guys have stepped up your military game overseas over the last decade, that's for sure.
Oh yeah,
but it is kind of wild because
we're peacekeepers.
People think, like at least from the American point of view, a lot of us see Canada as like a kind of like anti-gun society, the same way as parts of Europe are, but that's not necessarily true.
No, I don't think it's anti-gun. I think it just depends on what the government is at the time. Like it's the liberals are pretty anti-gun. Justin Trudeau is anti-gun. I thought black dudes love guns, but
that took me a half a second. I love that. But you guys still have like your crazy conspiracy theorists who are like hoarding like mass weapons and like ammo, and that's still okay to do in parts of Canada. You still have most of your like kind of what we would consider the southern culture, but for you guys it's usually like further north of kind of the more country, got the hunting rifles and maybe a little bit of an if the government goes tyrannical guns. It's not much worse than the majority of the US.
We got a lot of immigrants here too. Texas, like we have a lot of like refugees that have come in too. So they're fucking everyone's throwing rocks now. It's
those are. I mean, I can deal with that. Like cracked windshield, safe light repair, safe light replace. I can get away with that. But yeah, I don't know. It's just
cut that from this one.
To me, it seems like in a lot of parts of Canada, it's more of just like a better respect for the guns, not like a fear of them or a hatred for them. It's just like, no, we don't. It's just a more polite society. You guys don't shoot people as much.
They have a purpose. It's protect your home, yeah, but also hunting we got a lot of farms up here. You gotta shoot a fucking coyote, do it. It's not, I don't know, it's different. I think hockey
also around here
you get in a fist fight in hockey. I think there's like also like this like pent up rage that gets built up in people that get picked on, that they just don't have the outlet to, they made it so in schools you're afraid to get into a fist fight and stand up to a bully and shit like that. They made it so it was like that. And then these kids all of a sudden don't know how to fucking deal with that. And next thing you know, they're fucking shooting people up. It's like, I think that, they should be teaching MMA. I think, I think kids should be learning that like pretty young. It should,
in gym class, beat the shit out of each other. Go for it.
yeah, get some
With
sort
the
of outlet for
referee.
these fucking people. Because if you're just bottling up all that rage and anger and you don't know what to do with it, like there's no outlets. Obviously, there's mental illness too that comes into play, but I don't know. It's not just it's definitely not just like a one blanket issue like to fix that. And again, like guns aren't the problem, but they should be regulated in some way. But in the same end, it's like you should be allowed to fucking own guns.
I'll respectfully disagree with the regulated in some way, but I'll agree to
You just
disagree
think
on
anyone
that.
should just be able to fucking buy a gun and fucking?
I mean,
go out?
I am an anarchist. That's an
I like
absolute
that,
on that
but-
one. So I'm like you should be able to own a tank and a RPG kind of libertarian.
Listen, if I could, I would.
Right. Exactly. Part of it's that, part of it's the other. I also think maybe one of the differences of why we have more of the mass shootings than y'all do is because we don't have assisted unaliving here unless you start shooting at cops. So where y'all just have that for free with your health care. So
there's way more people
y'all have
there
a
too.
better outlet for that.
It's a much bigger population in America as well. So there's just the odds of it happening are higher too.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I'll say though about the guns and stuff like that is like I think I should be allowed to have all that shit. I just don't want my fucking enemies having that shit.
That's the problem. I'd
regulate those motherfuckers.
Government who gets to decide. It's very rare that I'm not the enemy of the government at this point.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm very much against the government picking and choosing who can and can't.
Well, the government's never made anything better. That's the thing. They fuck up everything good. And they try to make money off it on their own. Like it's never for the real true greater good of why they make legislation on anything. It's like, how do we fucking profit off of it first? Like it's all greed. These fuckers get into these positions so that they can, line their own pockets in some way or, curry some sort of political favor. It's all lobbying for, votes and to keep their cushy job. It's never that's way fucking lower on the list is like the true public safety about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, always. That's why I think they let it happen. Why all these people are on a list but never actually are locked up or fixed or given any of the help that they actually need. They're just put on drugs that will make it more likely for them to do this shit.
Yeah.
That's enough conspiracy theories for tonight. Before I let you go, let people know again how they can find both of your podcasts, your specials, your new thing, all of that. Shout it out.
Well, I'm gonna be on Rumble now, so get me on there. But you can check out all my stuff right now. YouTube, go over there and subscribe. Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That's where you can get Main Offenders and Fight Stories on all that. They're on all of that shit. My stand-up specials are all on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, Tyler Morrison 1, on X, Tyler Morrison 123, baby. Hit me up if you like my comedy. Hopefully I'm coming to your city. I'm doing some more touring in starting in the fall. So tylermorrison.ca is going to have all the tour dates. Hopefully get down to America for some shows again soon. But thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on, David. It's always a good time.
Fuck yeah, my absolute pleasure. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. There we go. Man, I'm still getting used to the StreamYard again. Thanks so much for tuning in thus far. Definitely go check out Tyler. Follow him on all of the things. Follow the show on all of the things. Follow the network on all of the things. And check out our great sponsors, Blood of Tyrants. Grab a couple bottles of wine and then some of the energy tea to get you through the hangover the next day. Or just if you're just wine into vodka with the energy tea is a great combo for the night also. And then go check out MyArkit. It's a really cool site and really cool program. Both of those links are in the description. Check them out. Tyler, again, thanks so much for coming on. This was fucking great.
Oh, anytime, man.
All right, guys. Check it back here next time. Until then, keep up the fight.